Hey guys, so today's video is going to be an eyeshadow 101 video. It's a continuation of the series that I started a few months ago and kind of haven't revisited since. I'm really sorry. Not much to say. I will just highly encourage you to check out my first video that I did. It's all about eyeshadow brushes. I will link it right here. Watching that video is going to make this video work. If you do not watch the first video, this one's going to make no sense to you because I'm going to talk to you as if you have watched the first one. Anytime somebody asks me about, oh, I can't do smoky eyes, or how do I do a smoky eye, blah, 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 it's usually because you don't understand your brushes yet. So there's no point in teaching you where to put your colors and how to blend and how to hold a brush is useless if you don't understand how to choose a brush for your specific eyeshadow or eyeshadow look. It's crucial. Also, let me go ahead and start off by saying that I am teaching you today how to do a traditional, in my mind, a traditional cat eye smoky eye. A cat eye smoky eye to me is when your gradients of color is lightest towards the inner corner and it gets darker going outwards, therefore creating kind of a cat eye, like an elongated, more awake, open cat eye look. I will do a video on a traditional smoky eye as well, which is darker towards the lash line and lighter towards the brow bone all over the lid. And then maybe if you guys want, I can do a halo smoky eye as well. But just to keep it simple and keep you guys on the right path with where I want your mind to be while you're watching this, I will probably use the exact same eyeshadows in this video that I'm going to use in all of the other in-depth tutorials. That way, if I post a tutorial of an eye look and you have questions or you don't understand how I got from point A to point B, I can link this video into it and you will know, oh, she's doing a cat eye, so now I know I need to be doing A, B, C, and D. You know, you get the drift. I hope it works out that way. That's the way I see it being the most effective in my mind. But yeah, don't get too hung up on the colors that I'm using. You can always recreate this if you'd like to, but this is just more for demonstrative purposes. I'm not trying to show you this like groundbreaking, amazing new look. It's something super basic and neutral that I would wear just on a regular basis. So I've already primed my eyelids. I may or may not need to emphasize the importance of this to you, but for today I use MAC Painterly Paint Pot. You can use any eye primer in the free world that you enjoy. I recommend, this is just me personally, I do recommend something tinted. If you look at the color of this one's the color of skin or closer to the color of my skin because I have a lot of pink in my skin. If you are a little bit more yellow, I would recommend a soft ochre from MAC. It works just as well, just a little bit more on the yellow side. A lot of people like to use concealer. You can use foundation. Urban Decay has great eyeshadow primers. Pretty much every company now makes eyeshadow primers. Even the drugstore does it. Doesn't matter. Use what you prefer, but put something down. I've already laid my primer all over my lid, and I'm actually gonna carve out the underside of my brow bone. Even if you don't see yourself doing this forever, because some people think it's really harsh, and I guess I understand why, not that I care. One thing it will help you do, and it will teach you, is how to keep your colors low. Depending on your eye shape, for example, I have hooded eyes, so I have like a smaller eyeball and a big eyelid. So what will happen if I take dark colors up too high is it will close me off. It'll make my eyes look smaller and squintier. You really just want to frame the eyes and place the color in areas that is going to give you the depth and dimension that you want. If you go too high, pretty much with any eye shape I can think of, I can't think of an example where this wouldn't be true. If you take your color too high, it is going to give you a squinty panda look. But if you're into that, that's fine. That has a time and a place. But I'm going to do this as if I'm assuming you want, you know, that super glam, Instagram ready kind of eye makeup look. I'm going to lightly carve out the bottom of my brow using a concealer that is a few shades lighter than the rest of my eyelid. I'll show you moving forward what I mean by how it'll help you from going up too high. But if you don't want to put this step into your process, by all means, feel free to keep it out. Also, you'll notice I've done my brows first. I do my brows first every time I do my makeup. It's just the way I like to do it. Almost every time I do clients, I do brows first as well. But more than one way to skin a cat, do you. I like to drag it down a little bit because this is where my brow highlight would go. I'm not gonna bring it all the way down from inner corner to outer corner, just right below the arch of my brow bone, as it is typically where my highlight color will go later. And I'll just grab the same brush that I did that I laid down my paint pot with, and I will blend these two together so it's not quite as harsh. Also, I have a weird zit right here on the side of my nose. Let me go ahead and say it before anybody else does, I guess. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but there is a distinct kind of highlight right here, and the rest of my eyelid's a little bit darker. So once you have your concealer on and your eyeshadow primer or whatever variation of that you prefer, I recommend going in and setting the entirety of your eyelid with some sort of powder that is either translucent or a little bit lighter than your skin tone, but not by much. You don't want to use something white. You know, if you're my shade and you go with something white, it's gonna mess up the saturation of pigment, and it's gonna be super distinct, like this white stark eyelid versus a little bit of a deeper complexion here, maybe alongside of your temple or in the surrounding area of your eye. I say you can use translucent powder if you want to, but just because it's right in front of me, I'm just gonna use an eyeshadow. This is BRULE from MAC. Once again, don't get too caught up in brands or shades. Just use what you have. Then I'll take this like fluffy brush. This is from Royal and Langnickel. I didn't mention this brush in my eyeshadow brush video. As I told you guys before, I would watch that. In my eyeshadow brush video, I explained to you that you're gonna go through and apply your eyeshadows on brushes assigned to numbered eyeshadows. So brush number 1 gets the lightest color in your look, brush number 2 gets the second lightest, brush number 3 gets your mid-tone, brush number 4 gets your darkest, and if you have a brush number 5 or a color number 5, that would get your absolute darkest color. I guess this would be eyeshadow brush 1 in this case, and it's taking the very, very lightest color that I'm using and it's going all over my lid. So once again, the bigger the brush, the lighter the color, the more area it's typically going to cover on your lid. You definitely want to set your eyeshadow and your concealer, but you don't want it to be too powdery. If you go in with too much of this, it's going to make building up pigment extremely difficult. You just want enough to make the surface of your eyelid matte, as opposed to like a tacky texture that can kind of cling on to your product, make it difficult to blend, and this just really helps. This is the biggest trick I could say that will help your blending process moving forward. Another thing, never underestimate, just like in Zombieland, never underestimate the importance, the effectiveness of the double tap. Or the tap at all. Tap as many times as you need to. You guys have noticed in my videos, you'll hear this when I'm doing my makeup, or you might see like product go flying. I have a mirror right here just off the camera, and when I do my makeup or I'm doing somebody else's makeup, it doesn't matter. I will find something to tap, and I tap off stuff. Before my brush touches any part of my face, no matter what part of my face it is or what product I'm using, it gets dipped in the product and tapped off, because you don't want to go in with too much. I have that in place. I'm going to go in with eyeshadow number 2 and brush number 2. So in this case, eyeshadow number 2 is going to be Always Sunny from MAC. I have been told that this is discontinued, but if you have Peach Smoothie from Makeup Geek, that would work just as fine. Mine is just on its last leg and I can't use it anymore because there's like nothing in the pan. I need to make an order. So I'm just gonna use this. My brush number 2 is gonna be a Sigma E40 brush. So looking at it right now, we have brush number 1 and eyeshadow number 1. Eyeshadow number 1 is light, and this brush is massive compared to the rest of the ones that we're going to use. Now let's compare brush number 1 and color number 1 with brush number 2 and color number 2. Okay, now we have a brush that is similar to number 1, but it's much smaller, and we have a color that is still neutral like color number 1 is, but it's darker. So you have color number 1 and color number 2, brush number 1 and brush number 2. Okay, easy peasy lemon squeezy. So with color number 1 and, or excuse me, so with color number 2 and brush number 2, I am just going to work this into my brush. Tap, tap. Don't skip that step. Now, with a cat eye, once again, our goal is to elongate, open, and keep the depth of pigment in the outer corner of the eye. The outer corner and the lower corner. That means the colors are going to be lightest up here and they're going to get darker going inward. And they're going to be lightest here and they're going to get darker going outward. The way that I achieve this when I do it is I take my color and I start right in the outer corner of my eye, and I will just kind of play here for a minute with it. I feel like Bob Ross. We're going to play with this. It's going to be a happy color, happy lids. And I will try to dispense most of this pigment out here. You can take this in 2 different ways. You can go in, when I say inverted C shape, this is what I'm referring to. If you take this and create this kind of inverted C shape, it's going to close you off much more than if you take it up. So we're not going to go like this. If you have bigger eyes, you can actually get away with that. But if you have smaller eyes, this is the way I do it. You want it to stay out here and go upward in a diagonal motion. But the pigment's going to be mostly here. It's going to get lighter as it goes up. You don't need it to be the same depth of saturation here as you do here. That's why I play out here with it for a minute before I start blending upwards. The shape we're ultimately creating is, I'm no geometry major, but if you guys know what shape this would be, please let me know. It's gonna go up, out, kind of like a cat eye wing liner, out, up, out, up, out, up. Say it with me now. You can take this color and make it as saturated as you want, depending on how smoky you want this look to be. But overall, it's gonna hang out here and it's going to go up. Biggest tip I can give you guys on top of that, get a hand mirror. It can be a compact. I have little hand mirrors of different types that I use, and I hold the mirror down below me, like this mirror is facing upwards and at an angle, and I look down into the mirror. It's a lot easier to see your whole eyelid without having to like look straight on. 95% of people, and it's probably even bigger number than that, are not perfectly symmetrical, meaning one eye is a little different than the other. If you ever find that you're like, oh, I can always get this eye perfect, but it's this one, a lot of people think it has to do with which hand they're using. Doesn't. It's probably because you're not changing the way you're holding your brush, or you're not changing the way you're looking at it. This eye on me is more hooded than this one. So that means no matter what happens, I can't take the colors on this eye as high up as I do with this one. I'll show you as it pertains to the darker colors moving forward. I'll show you what I mean, but I'm just telling you this if you feel like you're like, oh, my eyes never look the same. It's because they're not the same. Your eyes are different. One thing that does help me is if I look, like when I'm doing my eye this way, I hold my brush like this and I look down. But when I do this one, I find that I almost have to turn it completely sideways to get it. Might not even apply to you. I'm just throwing it out there. The way that you hold your brush is crucial too. I'm holding my brush when I do my makeup at the very, very end of it because I want my pressure and my wrist, everything needs to be really soft. The harder you press, if you press down too hard, your bristles are gonna splay out like this, and it's not gonna be, the color's not gonna go where you want it to go, period. You really just wanna use the tip of it and like lightly press on it, and try to start holding your brush at the end if you can. That's gonna help you. If you hold your brush up here, that's gonna come with a lot more pressure. Try to keep your hand at the bottom of the barrel. Barrel? That's my transition color. Color number 2, brush number 2. Now we're gonna move on to brush number 3 and color number 3, which means, what does that mean? I wish that this was like Blue's Clues and I could just be like, what are we gonna do next? Okay, so this is brush number 3. Eyeshadow number 3 is gonna be Saddle by MAC. You probably can't tell, but this is a similar brush to this E40 from Sigma, but one of them is the fluffier version. This E40 brush is way more fluffy and dense than this one from MAC, which is the 224. That's why this is going to be with my darker color. So we're just going to walk through it one more time just so we can see the gradient effect that we're going with. 1, number 2, number 3. And like the colors we just put down, I'm going to swirl my brush in it. Tappity tap tap. This is going to go in the same place that we put the first shadow, but we're not going to take it as high, and we're going to keep it darker in the outer corner. Watch, the shape is still going to go up and over, but this is not going to go anywhere near up here. We don't want this to be dark. We want it to be dark down here. And then as our brushes get smaller and our colors get darker, they will move lower down our lid and stay further out. So going in with brush 3 and color 3. I said before that I can't take, like if you notice right here, this is pretty high. This is a little bit lower. So this being my crazy eye, I know I need to keep this color a little bit lower than I have to keep it on this eye, because that's how I'm gonna make them look a little bit more symmetrical. So right here, I can go even this high on this eye, But on this one, you can tell I'm going way lower. And that's because this is more hooded. So if I take a color too high up on my more hooded eye, it's gonna close this eye off even more. So I have to keep them a little bit lower. Not by much, it might not even be that noticeable to most people, but over the years on myself and on clients, I've learned to identify which one is the more difficult eye and adjust accordingly. What I wanna do is start feathering this inward. You can take this in as far as you want, because we're still gonna make the lid have a gradient effect too. You don't want your lid to be like white, dark, because that's what happens sometimes. You need it to still be lighter, medium, medium, dark. No other color moving forward will go as high as this color or go as far in as this color. This is it. This is the last stop for colors going up this high or this far in. I always recommend going back in with the first brush you started off with and just kind of blending them together to make sure they're nice and soft and happy on that lid. This is the area where if you want to make this really dark, your smoky eye, you would start that process now. You're not gonna wanna take your color number 2 and make it fairly light and then try to add a really deep contrasting color with it. I mean, you can. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's easier to blend if you keep them all roughly at the same intensity. There we go. All right, this is going a lot quicker than I thought it would. Now, color number 4 and brush number 4. Brush number 4 is a 221. Color number 4 is brown down from MAC. So we're gonna just look the difference between the last color and the last brush and this color and this brush. So here we go, this is the one we're about to go in with, and this is the one we just went in with. There's a huge difference between not only brush size, but depth of color, and this is where you kind of start to understand what I mean. Colors are going lower, we need smaller brushes. If I tried to take this first big brush that I started off with and tried to pack color in this outer corner that's darker, it's going to cover up all the other colors I've already laid down, and we're not gonna have depth, dimension, smokiness, nothing. It's just gonna get really muddy and messy on that lid. So going in with brush number 4 and color number 4, I'm gonna do exactly what I just did, but I'm not going to go up any higher than that saddle color went, and I'm not gonna go in any further than saddle went. No matter what eye shape you created, if you decided not to take this kind of harsh diagonal line, you're doing that C shape, or if you just wanna keep color in the outer corner totally and you're not taking it up at all, no matter what, it doesn't matter. It just means that you're not gonna take this color or this brush any higher than anything you've already laid down. See how I'm kind of like poking it? I'm poking it, hand at the very end, and I'm just slightly feathering it in circles and moving up ever so slightly and inward ever so slightly. And that's created depth. I don't know if you guys can tell. And once again, this is my crazy eye. So I'm keeping it even lower. And what are we doing now? We're going back in with a brush that's a little bigger, with a lighter color. You don't have to add any additional product if you don't want to. I normally don't. I'm just softening up any edges. And you'll go back in and deepen up as much as you want, but always tapping, tap, tap, tap. Again, with the even darker color on an even smaller brush. All right, so we're gonna take a look one more time at the difference between this color and this brush versus the ones that we just applied. There's a big difference in brush size and depth of color, don't you think? This is a pencil brush. This is a Sigma E30. It's like the smallest pencil brush I've ever come across. It works really well with me having smaller eyes to get this color just in the very outer corner of my eye. And what are we gonna do with this? We're gonna take it in the outer corner. It's not going any higher than our last color or in any further than our last color. You are slowly working your way out on your eye. Everyone does it different. Everyone does it in different orders. This is what I do. This is the easiest way for me to do it, and maybe it'll help you. So this color, Coconut Grove, is like one of my favorite eyeshadows in the world. It's a super dark, but cool toned, deep, flat brown color. And I'm just gonna poke this in the very, very outer corner. Some people call this the outer V. I would say that that's a good way of thinking about it too. It's just gonna go Whenever I talk about brush number 1, brush number 2, brush number 3, I'm really talking about the crease area and the outer corner area. What I do on my lid doesn't really change. I'm just gonna use a flat brush and it's just going to go, the saturation of pigment will go right here in the outer corner and it's gonna get lighter as it moves outward. And I'm just gonna take a shimmery lid color and I'm using the E54 medium sweeper, which is a flat brush, to press it on my lid. And I want the most pigment of this color, like the more shimmery property of it, to start in the inner corner and then move its way out. You don't want a harsh distinction between this lid color and the rest of your eye. That's a big thing I see people mistakenly do, is they'll have like an icy shimmery lid color that just kind of fades into like a harsh outer corner and there's no gradient effect between it. I mean, you can do that if you want. Art is subjective. But this is just like the look that I like to go for. And that's honestly it. I'm gonna do a brow bone highlight really quick. I do recommend this pretty much always, no exceptions. I'm just gonna take Shimma Shimma from Makeup Geek, but any shimmery color you have obviously will work. This is a E46 from Sigma. It's itty bitty and tiny and I love it for brow bone highlighting. And I'm just gonna put this right underneath the highest arch of my brow, and that concealer color we laid down before is acting as a base, which is gonna make it pop even more. Obviously I have a little bit of fallout. I'm going to do my lashes and I'm going to do the rest of my face, and when I come back I'm gonna show you how to do your lash line, and honestly that's it. Okay, so now that I've done everything else on my face for the most part, except for my blush and my lipstick and my bottom lash line, it does look a little strange. Now for me personally, on myself, I like a little bit of a highlight under the eyes, and I also like to smoke up my lash line, and those two things work together pretty nicely. I find that if I have a day where I go super bright underneath the eyes and I don't do my lash line to bring some, like kind of ground it a little bit, it ends up looking a little harsh. Like right now, this actually looks really, really harsh to me. It's probably got a lot to do with how quickly I'm moving. I don't really care if it's perfect because the face is not the focus today, but that's just so you know. I don't know. So now we're going to do the lash line. Once again, refer back to my other video about brushes, but we're going to do the same thing on the top that we did on the bottom. We might skip a few steps, but it's basically the same thing. Now on the bottom lash line, I'm going to go back in with our eyeshadow number 3, and I'm going to take a flat brush that is going to be the thickest brush out of all the other ones I'm going to be using. This is the MAC 239. And that's going to put my lightest color, and I'm going to actually run it from inner corner to outer corner and connect it with the outer corner of my eye. That is further going to open up the eye area. If you do not care to do your bottom lash line, you don't have to do any of this. But I like big lashes, so I need to balance this out. Makeup is all about balance and symmetry at the end of the day. This isn't the look that you're into. You obviously can skip all of this, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to do it. You guys ever watch someone do their eye makeup, particularly when it involves them needing to keep their eye open? Like doing their lash line, and they don't have to hold their mouth open? I'm just amazed by those people. I usually go in with just any old random brush and just kind of soften where it connects to my actual like skin. To go in with a smaller brush and a darker color. You guys probably are getting the gist of it by now. So for my second brush, I'm going to use an E21 for Sigma, and I'm going to go in with eyeshadow number 4, which is that brown down color, and I'm going to push this underneath my lash line. I'm going to leave it bright in the center, and I'm going to focus most of the darker colors on the outer corner. You guys can probably tell it's opening up and rounding out my eyes quite a bit. And then for the last eyeshadow, we'll use an even thinner brush. This is a MAC 212. It's the thinnest straight brush that I have. It's the only reason I'm using it. And then I'm going to go in with that Coconut Grove color, and I'm going to press this very finely right along my lash line, but keeping the depth of the color, you guessed it, in the outer corner. Alright guys, that is the end of my eyeshadow application slash blending video for the cat eye. There will be more videos coming in this series as I said before, but just to wrap everything up, number one, make sure you watch my eyeshadow brush video. It will help you quite a bit. I do think I summarized most of what that video entails, but if you want a little bit more of an in-depth explanation, then I would check it out. But long story short, I think we can all agree that the number one thing you have to remember is to keep your brushes big with your lighter colors and keep your brushes small with your darker color. If you keep that in mind, any look moving forward will be super duper easy for you. Let me know how it works out. Please tag me in pictures if you try this technique out. My Instagram is Whitney_Hedrick. Come find me on Snapchat. Let's hang out there. Thumbs up this video if you enjoy it. Make sure that you subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. That is the easiest way to stay up to date with all of my new videos. And yeah, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful. I'll catch you in the next one and have a great day.